Hey, good people. Want to drop you a line about a song that I love and a songwriter I love too. The song is Canned Goods by Greg Brown. I hope that you already know that song because it's worth knowing. And I hope that you know Greg Brown because he's worth knowing as well. And so I want to hone in on a line in that song that really hits me in the right spot. And want to tell you a little bit about my the way I associate with Greg Brown in a way. And that story for me begins with the time that I spent in Colorado, and being involved and developing friendships with so many talented musicians and songwriters. At some point, I was introduced to Tracy Wickland, who lived in Crested Butte, Colorado for quite some time. And a couple of musical associations that come from Tracy, but particularly this one. At some point, I told Tracy, and by the way, Tracy Wickland wrote a song called The Mountain Song, and John Denver recorded The Mountain Song on one of his albums. And that's pretty awesome. So Tracy was quite an institution of a songwriter, and had been in songwriting and song circles for so long. I always admired her, and over the years continue to have such a deep appreciation for the little bit of time that I spent in knowing her, and have such a deep appreciation with, of course, songwriting in general. But she was published by John Denver, and when I told her that I was traveling to a little town called Columbia, Missouri to see some friends for an Earth Day, a celebration of Earth Day weekend one year, I was told by Tracy that I should seek out this man named Lee Ruth. And she said Lee Ruth is a dear friend of hers and a fantastic songwriter and guitar player. And I looked up the program for that Earth Day celebration. Sure enough, Lee Ruth was on the program. So when I arrived in Columbia, Missouri, I sought him out and went to his set and listened to this fantastic musician, great guitar player, and a great songwriter too, I could tell. And afterwards, had a conversation with him and mentioned, of course, Tracy Wickland, and that was a hit, of course. And so we just spent some time together. I played his guitar a little bit, and we talked about songwriting and music and guitars and that kind of thing that makes our lives so rich and is like the connective tissue between us as songwriters. And in that conversation with Lee Ruth, he asked me if I had heard of Greg Brown. At the time, I had not heard of Greg Brown, and so Lee Ruth said something that made a deep impression on me. He said, in his opinion, Lee Ruth is in his opinion, Greg Brown is the greatest songwriter in the English language. And that's a big statement. And so coming from Lee Ruth, by way of Tracy Wickland, I was, of course, hearing that statement and thinking, yeah, well, that's a heavy statement. I definitely am going to heed that recommendation, and which I always do. And if I check in my mind, which is part of why I'm wanting to express these things, pretty much all the music that I've been exposed to has been given to me by friends or recommendations or people that heard me play music and said, you need to hear so and so, or something like that. I mean, when I think about all the music that I've sought after, primarily it's coming from recommendations, and by word of mouth, someone tips me off to a great song or a great songwriter, and this one was pretty impressive. And so, of course, I did look into it, and of course fell in love with Greg Brown, and now I play 2 songs of his, Canned Goods and Laughing River, and hopefully I can integrate some more of his work as well. But Canned Goods is one of my favorite songs, and the one that initially stuck out most to me too, because I have a relationship with food, of course, food production. And I love to put food up for the winter. I love to grow my onions and my garlic and winter squash, and we like to can tomatoes. And I love food preservation. I'm really big on that. I like to grow Tulsi basil, holy basil, and put it up for tea. And yeah, I love growing those storage crops. It's particularly special relationship with food production to me. Is something about it. It's just food production is food preservation for me is so it stands out when I think of my growing plan and my growing patterns. I grow for food preservation. I love to do that. So the song Canned Goods really hits me right there. And then, of course, the lyrics of this song are so endearing, and I'm going to play you particularly the verse that I really like and hone in on this one sentence that matters to me. Of course, the chorus is beautiful and comes around many times. So if you're familiar, the song has a lot of piano in it in his primary published version. It's like a piano-based song. Of course, I play it with guitar. But yeah, the last verse really hits me, and this one line I'll talk about in just a second. So the last verse goes like this. It's a little early in the morning, but we'll drop right in here. It goes, when I go down to see Grandma, I gain a lot of weight. With her dear hand, she feeds me plate after plate. She cans the pickles, sweet and dill, with the song of the whippoorwill and the morning dew and the evening moon. I really gotta go down and see her soon, 'cause these canned goods that I buy at the store ain't got the summer in them anymore. You bet, Grandma, as sure as you're born, I'll take some more potatoes and a thunderstorm. Peaches on the shelf, potatoes in the bin. Supper ready, everybody come on in. Taste a little of the summer. Taste a little of the summer. Taste a little of the summer. Grandma put it all in jars. There's so much in there to really hone in on because it's such a rich song. But particularly for me, I absolutely love when he says, she cans the pickles, sweet and dill, with the song of the whippoorwill. Every time I'm performing that song, I'm like transported into such deep admiration of that expression, of what he captured in that simple sentence. I just, your grandma's canning stuff, and it's there's another line that's, describes being winter, and he's eating this, these canned goods, which is in overall what the song is saying. But in the middle of winter, the experience of food brings back all these associations or these memories, or those are this like essential aspect that we love and adore. And with canning the pickles, sweet and dill, with the song of the whippoorwill. So when you're eating that food, which I love that in that sentence also, he's bringing out like food is not just a consumption kind of experience, not just a matter of consumption. Like our food, relating to our food is a deeper, has a deeper meaning to it, or a deeper story, or it could, or it should, or it could, or, but I just absolutely marvel at that expression and what he's done there. So every time I'm singing it, every time I hear it, that particular line stands out. And then I'll take some more potatoes and a thunderstorm. I mean, it's so as I'm recording this, of course, we've been in a rainy spell. It's a little chilly. It's summer, but it's a little bit chilly sometimes right now. And, a lot of thunderstorms, a lot of lightning. And, it's so special. I mean, in big thunderstorms as a kid. Uh, yeah, who doesn't like a good thunderstorm? Um, so anyways, that particular line stands out to me, and that, is like that shining moment that reveals the genius of Greg Brown to me when I'm singing it or I'm listening to it. So hope you appreciate that aspect. And the song, if you don't know it already, Greg Brown, Canned Goods, can't get much better than that. Maybe I'll do another video about Laughing River, which is another one of my favorite songs of his. And yeah, so till next time, take care, stay kind.